Hello everyone, Rowan here, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about some books that I believe are overhyped or didn't live up to the hype and weren't as great as I expected. So just a little disclaimer before I get into this, because I know that this is a topic that could be potentially insulting or hurt some people's feelings or anything like that. I do not care if you guys like these books or not. That would be completely silly of me to care. I'm only sharing my opinion because I thought this would be kind of a fun video to make, and I hope that you guys respect my opinion just as much as I respect yours. And these are just some books that a lot of people like and I did not like. So in no way am I attacking anybody or trying to hurt anybody's feelings, and I apologize if it comes off that way, but please know that is not my intention. So the first book on my overhyped list is Shatter Me by Taria Mafi, I believe is how you say her name. I always say it wrong. So the Shatter Me series is a series that a lot of people think is great. Obviously not everybody, but a lot of people, when this series came out and I started hearing about it, were just in awe. Mostly I think because of Taria Mafi's really unique writing style. If you've read these books, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't read them, you really would just have to read them to know what I mean. So I, of course, had to check these books out and know why they were getting so much hype. And to be completely honest, I did not like these books very much. While her writing style was different, and it was really refreshing to read something different, I found that after a while I got a little exasperated by it, to be honest. Like, all the repetitiveness, all the crossing out. It felt really overdramatic and kind of unnecessary to me at points. I thought it was a really interesting, perspective to go with through this series, but it just didn't work that well for me. The storyline itself was not bad. I mostly just had a problem with the characters. I'm not a big fan of Juliet, and I'm not a huge fan of Adam. Of course I like Warner, because everybody likes Warner, but these books definitely didn't live up to the hype for me. Maybe I'm just weird, but I was not that impressed. The next series on my list is the Lux series by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and I actually really like a lot of Jennifer L. Armentrout's stuff. I love White Hot Kiss, that series. I can't remember what it's called. Dark Elements series. I love that one. I really like her more adult, new adult I think it is. Wicked was fantastic, so of course I had to get my hands on this, and really didn't like it. I've heard so much about this because there's so many Jennifer L. Armentrout fangirls out there, myself included, who just rave about her books, and this is one of the most talked about series of her. And I don't know, it didn't do it for me. I felt like one of the reasons I really like her Dark Element series, that's the one with Lila and Roth. I really like Roth. There's kind of a line between just being a douchebag and being kind of charming, sarcastic, mischievous, and Roth really has that. He can be snarky and funny and kind of like an asshole, but you know that he's not being malicious. In this book, God, I can't even remember his name. What's his name? Damon, that's his name. Was really, really awful. I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's just doing it to push her away and whatever, but he really said hurtful things in the first book and was just awful, and I was horrified by some of the things that happened. And that's he crossed that line into just being a huge jerk. And for me, the romance didn't do it for me. I don't know. Well, the alien stuff was really interesting. I just couldn't stand him, so sorry. The next book on my list is Serafina by Rachel Hartman. Now, I liked this book, but I did not love it. But before I read this, I heard so much amazing things about it. Just people were going crazy for this book, that it was really creative, really refreshing, really unique. And while it was all of those things, I have to give Rachel Hartman props. She did a really, really interesting take on dragons. She did a really interesting story. I found that the pace was so slow. The characters were good. I mean, I liked the characters a lot, but the pacing, the world, just the story in general was really hard for me to trudge through. Just for me, it was so hard to get through and so slow that I didn't understand why so many people were raving about it. Because while it was interesting and unique, it wasn't the most well written or well executed book. So this was another one that I was a little confused by why it was getting so many raves. Okay, so this one I feel I'm gonna get a lot of hate for because I just feel like a lot of people really like this. Maybe it's just a lot of my friends in general really like this, but this is one I read recently and was really disappointed with. The Selection by Kira Cass. I wasn't expecting to like this series. I've heard so much about it that I knew I had to read it just to see what all the hype was about, but I wasn't really expecting to like it. I did like this first one more than I thought I would, though. But the further I got into the series with the second and the third, it just went so downhill for me. America was just ridiculous. I don't know why so many people like this series. I didn't think it was particularly, like, unique or original. The characters were all kind of like, you know, like the characters you would expect to be in a book like this. There was no, like, big amazing plot twists. The, like, rebel political plotline was always second place to the romance, and I was not impressed. I really wasn't. Like, I can understand why people like it. I just didn't. And America for me was just horrible. In the second book, she's really indecisive and constantly going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth between the romance. And I just hated her for it. I lost all respect for her as a character, unfortunately. So, I didn't know. This one didn't do it for me. So the next book is The Fifth Wave by Ricky Yancey. This is one that I read recently with my Goodreads group. We did, like, aliens, I think, or sci-fi or something like that. And I've heard so much about this book and The Infinite Sea, the second one, that I was really, really excited to read it. And another one I was disappointed by. I was really excited by the first part. In the first part, we kind of see how the world got invaded, how it got to the point where this girl is one of the only people left, or at least as far as she knows, and she's traveling by herself, and it's really dark, and just, like, it made you hurt a little bit to see this, and everything felt really, like, ominous, you know what I mean? And then she meets up with this boy, and then it turns into this weird romance thing, and we start getting a second, like, storyline with this boy named Zombie. And from there, I just kind of lost interest. The romance was not doing it for me. Not at all. And Zombie's point of view was interesting, but I really just wanted to go back to, like, before. You know what I mean? I was kind of hoping this was going to be more, like, of a The Walking Dead sort of situation. Like, a really, like, survival story with humanity gone and you're the last of it. Like, what are you gonna do? And it didn't end up being that. So I was disappointed with this one. It wasn't awful. It definitely wasn't awful, but it really wasn't what I was expecting, and I was disappointed. Okay, so I know that this next book is going to get some people really mad at me, and I am so sorry because I don't know why, but Divergent by Veronica Roth is on this list. Now, Divergent, I really liked. The first book was great. It was really, like, original when it came out. It was gritty. It was really, really cool. Like, awesome concept. I loved Triss. I mean, it was really good. And for some reason, I just cannot, for the life of me, get through the second book. And I have had the ending of the series spoiled for me. There's no way around it. I mean, so many people talk about this that I know what happens in the end. And trying to get through the second book knowing that, and I just didn't like the second book. I didn't finish it, obviously, and I haven't read the third, so maybe it gets amazing, but I was not impressed with where the story was going, and some of the characters just started to rub me the wrong way, and I find this series to be a little overhyped, obviously, since it's on this list, but it doesn't stand out to me. The dystopian category is really getting a lot of attention right now, I feel like. And this one doesn't particularly shine to me. Like, it doesn't stand out in that big group that's been really getting a lot of attention. It just, I don't know. I'm sorry, but I don't have any interest in finishing this series, to be honest. I feel like there's other ones that are a lot more interesting for me that I'd rather spend my time reading. Okay, so the last book is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. So The Bone Season is a book that I heard a whole lot of hype about. I mean, everybody was just raving about this, so I went and ordered it super quickly. And when I got it and started it, I just hit a wall. I mean, we were thrown into the world so quickly. Everything was just being, like, pushed in our faces with no explanation. The writing was really kind of hard to get through. The characters were just kind of tough, and it took me a long time to finish this book, and when I finished it, I kind of set it aside, and I was like, okay, second half was not bad. The second half definitely saved the book, you know? But then as a whole, I could not understand why this book was getting so much like attention. I mean, maybe I missed something. Sometimes when I go through books so slowly and my heart really isn't into it, I feel like I do miss things. So maybe I really just missed something with this, but it just did not work for me. And everybody is just all over this book and its sequel and how amazing it is, and I didn't get it. I didn't get it. It definitely wasn't a bad book. I mean, it wasn't awful. It just, I was expecting fantastic. Okay, so there are all the books that I thought were overhyped and definitely did not live up to my expectations. The thing is I didn't hate any of these books. I didn't think they were horrible. Most of them got like 3 or 2 star ratings. It's just that for me, when I hear so much amazing stuff about these books, I'm expecting like amazing, not mediocre at best. So please feel free and comment below and let me know what you guys thought of these books, or any books that you think are really overhyped that I didn't list, or just your thoughts on any of this. Please be respectful of other people's opinions. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.